right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 630 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am Via Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And breaking news, it just happened as me starting to record the show. Joe Burrow was carted off the field with a non-contact injury. They said, I think it was like a calf or something like that. I don't know, but hopefully everything goes well with him. You never want to see injuries or whatever the case may be. That really sucks. So hopefully, that's going to be on the up and up. But nevertheless, today, this is going to be episode 630. We're going to talk about low expectations for Desmond Ridder since, we just starting with the training camp. And will the Falcons trenches be elite? I'm going to share a Grady Jarrett clip that I saw, and based on the personnel they have, not just the offense, the defensive line, the offensive line as well, that could be the case. So we're going to talk about both of those really quick, get through this episode, and I'll give my thoughts and opinions on the way. If this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I am also on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And, it's just been another good week. We're rolling on. We're going into the end of the week. This is Thursday. We're going to be jumping over into Friday. And I'm actually pretty excited with what the Falcons are doing here in training camp. You got so many things to talk about here, but I'm going to just narrow it down to these two things. I think these are the most important that's going on. Now, I heard the whole situation with Clark Phillips getting an interception off of a pass from Desmond Ridder. What does that mean? From what I heard, that the pass by Desmond Ridder was actually pretty good. Jeff Okudah also had a pass breakup. So you're starting to see, guys that are outside of A.J. Terrell actually stepping up on that end. So, but with that being said, Desmond Ridder from day one kind of improved a little bit in day two. But with Desmond Ridder, I'm just sitting here just thinking what do we really look for him to do this upcoming season? Do you expect him to ball out of control or put up old, Matt Ryan numbers from back in the, I'm not gonna say back in the day, but years ago? Or do you expect him to, be like a top 5, top 10 quarterback? Me personally, all I've said was give the guy a shot. Give him a chance to be QB1 and see where it goes. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but if I really had to be pinned down and tell you, I have low expectations for Desmond Ridder. And it doesn't mean that he's a bad quarterback or anything. I just don't think that he should be held to this real high standard to do so much for this team right away. You got to understand, he was brought in and strung along for basically an entire year. When he came into onto the field and played, he played okay. He didn't play any way to make it seem like, oh my God, he's going to be like the next thing coming as far as the next wave of quarterbacks. I think that he should just be just good enough to just not make mistakes. If he don't make mistakes, or if he don't make costly mistakes, because no quarterback is perfect, right? Even the best ones throw interceptions or throw bad passes. But if he just don't make costly mistakes, this team is going to be in a really good shape. They're going to be in really good shape to go far. You have a lot of talent in the backfield. You got talent on the outside. You got talent at tight end. We're going to talk about the trenches, offense and defensive line shortly. We also have a secondary that we just talked about with Clark Phillips and Jeff Okudah actually showing that they're ready to play some ball. We haven't even talked about A.J. Terrell yet. We haven't talked about Jesse Bates. We haven't talked about Richie Grant. We haven't talked about Mike Hughes. We got some guys, so we got some guys here that's actually going to be stepping up and putting some work in. So the team in general, I think, like I said, and I'll say this again, I feel like we're probably the most talented team in the NFC South. I understand where, some of the rivals going to say Steve Smith has something to say about Desmond Ridder. You're going to have Saints fans come after me and say, oh, you're just getting it because you're a Falcon fan. Yeah, but I'm also honest. If I feel like this team is not that talented, I'm not going to play rah-rah. I'm going to tell you, look, Arthur Smith's going to have to put some work in to make things happen, or you're just going to be in a bad spot. But they did do some things. Basically what happened was they got the defensive line coach from the Saints, made him defensive coordinator. They bought some players from the Saints in at around the front seven. Calais Campbell signing, Mike Hughes signing, Jeff Okudah signing. Good drive class. You got some guys on offense that you picked up, not to mention Bijan Robinson. You brought in Tyler Heineke. You got Jesse Bates. We've made some changes. So we're not just going to sit here and be like, all right, this is the same team from last year because it's totally different. So with that being said, with all the movements around him, around his team, I don't expect Desmond Ridder to do that much on the field. All I want him to do is get the ball to the receivers and don't throw to the other team. That's all I want. He doesn't need to do anything else. If he mess around and get, maybe 10, I'll say that's probably the limit. And I know that's stretching because a lot of quarterbacks don't do this. If he gets around 10 interceptions this season and he throws for probably like 20 touchdowns, 25 touchdowns, I'm not mad at that. Because like I said, the expectations are low, but at the same time, I don't want him to be put in a situation where he like doing too much and he end up, stinking up the joint. So I don't expect much from Desmond Ridder. I think the team collectively is looking really good. Now we're going to talk about the trenches really quick. And Grady Jarrett, man, what can you say about this guy? 9 years in the NFL, 5th round draft pick, ended up being the leader of this squad. Almost could have been MVP of the Super Bowl, but, somebody didn't want to run the ball and somebody else didn't want to block, but that's another story for another day. Grady Jarrett's a class act. This is one of the guys that continuously put in the work, play hard, and work hard, and shows that he's one of the top defensive tackles in the NFL. Always have a great season every time he's on the field, does what he can to make the team better. Now you got guys around him that is about that life, and they're about putting in work when it comes to getting at the quarterback. I mean, let's start talking about David Adamaya. You got Caden Ellis. You got Bud Dupree. You brought in Calais Campbell. You still got Taquan Graham. I think Ogundeji is still there. I mean, you got Troy Anderson. You got Lorenzo Carter. Michael Walker is still. I mean, you got a collective of guys that they're going to make that defensive line look really, really good. And I know it's probably some people that I'm missing, but, it is what it is. And you look at the offensive line. The offensive line already is proven that they can do some good things as far as running the ball. Pass blocking, I'm not saying it's bad, but their run blocking is clearly their strengths. But in the trenches, that's basically what it's going to be. You're going to have a run the first team that can get the ball to the quarterback, to the receivers via short passes, which I'm going to talk about that probably in another episode down the road, what Desmond Ridder has to do to actually be successful. And if spoiler alert, he don't have to throw the ball deep. He just has to get clear, concise passes. But we'll talk about that another day. Running the ball, actually being able to be effective blocking up front, and the defensive line getting to the quarterback. Now, I'm going to run this clip right here. Shout out to Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett of the Fox 5 team here in Atlanta. Really good clip of what Grady Jarrett's talking about here. We're going to play it real quick, and it's basically what I've been trying to say for the past 4 or 5 minutes when it comes to the trenches. All right, I'm going to let Grady Jarrett talk. Shout out to Myles Garrett. You can follow him on Twitter at Myles Garrett TV. Let's roll it.
I think it's going to be a great camp. It's going to be highly competitive.
I want to go ahead and let you guys know off the rip before I continue to play it. For some reason, the audio is mono, like it'll jump from mono to stereo, so you may hear it out of one ear of your speaker. That's not my fault. I tried to fix it. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. So it may be in the left, and then it may jump to the right and vice versa. But it is on the podcast. It's an audio situation that's basically on their end. It's not on mine.
I think it's going to be a great camp. It's going to be highly competitive. I think y'all in for a treat to watch us, go out there and work every day. And but the final product is going to be worth the work that we about to put in. I don't forecast no BS and nothing like that. But iron sharpen iron, and that's the expectation. And that's why Coach built this the way he did. Really really competitive up front. We want to have great offensive line, great defensive line, and we believe the game is won in the trenches.
That's basically what it is. Now, it's probably on the left side of the mic. I'm sorry, that's how it is. But you basically hear what Grady Jarrett's saying. They're like, you're going to be in for a treat for what this front seven can do. You got guys like Grady Jarrett and guys with motors like Grady Jarrett that's going to be going after the quarterback, from Calais Campbell all the way to Caden Ellis. From David Adamaya to Lorenzo Carter. You got guys that are going to be in the front seven that's going to be after the quarterback. I mean, I don't know if what's our old defensive coordinator is. I don't know if he's still around. because I know he was in some practices early after the draft as a consultant. I would love to see him still here, but I know he would love to have a front seven like this. Dean Pease. I know he's still around with the team because I know he retired, but I would love to see him just to be around as a consultant that, for him and our new defensive coordinator just to gel a little bit. You know what I mean? Because this is the type of defensive line that Dean Pease wanted, because you're going to be blitzing from everywhere. And, this is going to cause a lot of nightmares for the opposing teams. So when you have a team that has these many guys that can get at the quarterback, and you turn around, you have a guy that wants to get at the quarterback with the defensive coordinator, this is going to be a problem for a lot of teams. On top of that, this makes Desmond Ridder's job a lot easier because they can put these guys in very good field position with good defenses, getting these guys, actually ready to go and putting themselves in position to score points after the defense hold the opposition into bad field position or whatever the case may be. So it could work out. Not only that, these guys could probably cause turnovers. You got Clark Phillips and, AJ Terrell and, you got Jeff Okudah back there. You got Jesse Bates. You got a lot of guys that can get at the ball in the defensive side. So if you rush a pass, we could be seeing pick sixes. We can see interceptions. So it's just, when you look at what the trenches can be, this is really what wins games. It's not necessarily, the quarterback is this. You got to have a generational talent quarterback, which everybody kind of hangs their hat on nowadays. That you got to have that generational quarterback to actually lead a team. And don't get me wrong, I believe that. You need that type of talent. But when you don't have that talent, you just want a quarterback that just don't make mistakes. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts put it out there perfectly. People are going to start calling him one of those top quarterbacks. When you look at his game is very, very basic. It's safe, it's very efficient, and it's very successful. They don't ask him to do too much. They just want him to play football within his means and just make good decisions. And he's been great at that. I mean, you got to understand, Jalen Hurts, one thing I noticed about them, even back in college, nobody really looked at him at this type of quarterback that he is. But he's developed into a great decision maker. This is all I want Desmond Ridder to be. Jalen Hurts has done a phenomenal job making good decisions, and that's why he's been so successful and got the contract that he got. If we can get any of that, if we can get 80% of that out of Desmond Ridder with what Desmond Ridder brings to the table, you're going to be successful at that position. Last but not least, before I get out of here, let's talk about the other side of the trenches, the offensive line. The offensive line basically is going to have to make Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and the rest of the running backs, Cordell Patterson, and Carlos Washington Jr. I think his name is. I know it's Washington. Make those guys look good if they're running the ball. You get that, and it takes a load off of Desmond Ridder, and it also has makes the defense rest. And when they're looking for run, Desmond Ridder could pass the ball. Like I said, short to medium, quick, snappy passes to Drake London, Kyle Pitts. You're starting to see what the formula could be here. So in closing, I'm just going to get out there and just say, look, this, whole situation, day 2 of training camp, it's not much to hang your hat on. I mean, these guys are looking, pretty sharp from one day to the next. That's all you can do. It should get better as it goes along, where these guys are going to continue to get more reps. They're going to get more in tune with the team. They're going to start gelling more together. And all of a sudden, you're going to see this team, hopefully start to take an incline to show that they're much different, much better than they were last year. I can't wait to see it. The training camp schedule, which the next training camp day is going to be on the 28th in the morning, which today is the 27th. Basically, we're going to be looking at training camp throughout the rest of the month. 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, the 8th and the 9th of August, they're going to be in Florida, and the 26th, 27th. I'm going to try to make it to probably the 27th. I got to find out what day that is. I'm going to try to find my way to the one on the 27th, which is a Sunday. So 26th or 27th, I'm going to try to go to one of those because of the fact that you'll finally get to see the final product of what training camp was. So I'm probably stay away from all the other ones. But once the 26th, 27th come, that's when you will know pretty much what type of team you're going to have going into the preseason. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think, man. Low expectations for Desmond Ridder? Hey, I think so. There's not much pressure to put on him. They put enough talent around him to show that he's going to be all right. You know, all he has to do is play basic football, play basic quarterback. Don't try to do too much. Make sure you get the ball to the receiver. Don't make mistakes. Don't give the ball to the other team. And I think they'll be fine. The trenches, the offensive line, I think they're going to do their best to protect Desmond Ridder. The running game is going to be on point. You kind of know that already. Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier should be able to eat. The defensive line, they're already talking about the defensive line is looking nice. The front seven is looking good. And the secondary made some plays this day in training camp. Will that continue? We'll see. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, Google Podcasts. Stitcher is going down next month. So find your way to Apple or Spotify or Google and give me a 5-star rating over there on Apple if you haven't already. Also, I could be found on Twitter or X at VFBaller. And the website is firstandframerates.com. You can go over there and support your boy, support the podcast, help it grow. And you can subscribe to the podcast on any of the avenues listed on the podcast. All right, y'all. I'm going to get out of here. You guys take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you next time. All right, y'all. Be blessed. Peace.